everyone, and welcome. My name is Karen Brown. I am the Investor Relations Vice President here at Cove Capital Investments. And with us here today, we have Sam Simino, who will be discussing one of the newest offerings that we recently launched, the Essential Net Lease Portfolio 90 DST. Thanks so much, Sam. Happy to have you here and discuss with us about this newest offering. But before we dive in, I wanted to give a brief overview of Cove Capital Investments, a little bit about who we are. Cove Capital, we are a private equity real estate sponsor company. We specialize in debt-free Delaware statutory trust investment opportunities, especially for accredited investors who are seeking to complete 1031 exchanges and direct cash investment opportunities. Sam? Love to hear a little bit more about this new offering. Take it away.
Yeah, Essential Net Lease Portfolio 90 DST consists of a FedEx Ground facility in Stafford, Arizona, as well as a Tractor Supply company retail store in Grants, New Mexico.
Awesome.
So a little bit about the FedEx Ground. So the FedEx is a property that recently extended their lease another 5 years. So FedEx exercised their option early. Showing their commitment to this location in Stafford, Arizona. The lease now runs through May 2030. With that extension, there was a 7.5% increase in rent. This leaves one more 5-year extension available for another 5% increase, which really helps drive up the rent for the property, thus increasing the value of the asset in the future. The property is strategically located in Stafford along U.S. Highway 191. It's in a dense retail corridor, which is kind of rare for an industrial property to be near shops such as Walmart, Harbor Freight, but it's also near single-family home communities and multifamily properties as well. So this gives the property a customer base nearby while also being along the highway. It's southeast of Phoenix in Arizona and northeast of Tucson. It's also very close to the border of New Mexico, so it's able to service both Arizona and New Mexico.
Oh, awesome. And how is FedEx doing?
Yeah, so FedEx, especially FedEx Ground, I can give you some more insight because we've been really targeting Ground out of all of the FedEx subsidiaries. So FedEx Ground actually in 2024 had a 29% increase in their operating income, which is huge, of course, and that brought their income up to just over $4 billion. At the same time, they also had a 2% increase in actual revenue, so that was up to $34 billion there. FedEx Ground makes up a large portion of FedEx overall. It's almost neck and neck, Ground and Express. But Ground is the one that's growing more than the others. I mean, to give you some other background, if we compared it to FedEx Freight had a 6% decrease in both operating income and revenues. And then FedEx Express actually had a 29% drop in its operating income.
Wow.
So Ground is the one that's been more efficient. Their margins have also increased. From 2023, it was about 9% was their margin. 2024 was up to almost 12%. So they've been increasing their efficiencies and doing better overall. Their bottom line is continuing to increase, and it's growing more and more in the FedEx portfolio, taking up more share. Another thing I'd say, just Cove has a lot of experience with FedEx. We do have properties of Express, Freight, and Ground. We go for Ground for the most part, like I said. FedEx Ground was building new facilities. Around 21, 22 is when a lot of them were coming out. They've halted construction. There has not been new properties that have been being built by FedEx Ground. We've had a great track record with FedEx. We've extended leases. We've signed new terms on expiring leases. We've even extended or signed new terms well ahead of their expiration. And that's something that we're seeing is FedEx is using these sites, especially this one in Stafford. So I'll tell you, it's just under 12,000 square feet of a building, but it's on over 7 acres of land.
Oh, wow.
So it's got a lot of space for expansion potential. And something we're seeing is FedEx is actually consolidating their express locations into the Ground locations. And this was something that we also foresaw with the new construction properties. They were ground properties, but they already had space built out for express to move in also in a lot of them. So it was something that we saw they're going to start consolidating their locations, especially as ground is operating at a higher volume, more and more, and they have that space like this.
Does that happen normally? Is that they bring an express with ground or form them together, or are they typically their own? There's a ground and then there's an express.
They're usually different facilities just because they do different types of deliveries.
Right.
Freight, of course, is very large freight. Express is more what FedEx is known for overall, that quick overnight delivery. Ground transportation is the slower, but has become more and more prevalent, especially with the rise in online shopping.
Right.
That's the biggest. When you go online and shop, you're usually going to click the ground option, which is either free or the most cost-saving option. But with the amount of different distribution centers they have, it's getting to you pretty quickly most of the time. So as ground is growing and it has the space on the lots, they figured, why not move in the express locations as well where there's space? So we will look at what else is in the area when acquiring these.
And then I know that there is a second property in the portfolio, the Tractor Supply. Cove Capital has we've acquired several handful of Tractor Supplies. We also have over 2,100 investors across 33 states, many of whom may or may not have ever visited a Tractor Supply. So can you tell us a little bit more about what do they sell at Tractor Supply? I'm assuming tractors, but would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Tractor Supply mainly is for farmers and ranchers is what they typically target, right? A lot of agriculture supplies, landscaping materials, but it's also actually almost like a small hardware store. So it does service a lot more people than it sounds like it does. You can walk into a large Home Depot, very difficult to find what you're looking for, or Lowe's. Tractor Supply, much smaller footprint. This, for example, is just under 22,000 square feet. So it's a much smaller store. You can get in, get what you need quickly, and exit. They even sell, lifestyle materials, clothing for farmers, ranchers as well. You might see people wear their hats here and there. I've seen it out in the street. They sell pet supplies and pet food, and they actually have another chain called Pet Sense that they've been expanding as well, specializing in just the pet, just because it's been doing so well within their actual Tractor Supply locations. So Tractor Supply sounds like something that you might not need, but if it's near you, it could be a useful store, and that's why they're popping up everywhere. There more and more people are finding use for these locations actually.
Well, that's really interesting, Sam. Thanks so much for telling us about a little bit more about what to expect when you walk into the Tractor Supply. With the Tractor Supply now in this portfolio, would love to hear a little bit more about the location, some of the sales metrics. I understand that Tractor Supply is expanding. Would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so this property is about 75 miles from Albuquerque, New Mexico, in Grants, New Mexico. It's just under 22,000 square feet of building on over a 4-acre lot. So this has a new concept that Tractor Supply is implementing called a fusion and garden concept. So you can get your plants as a nursery. There's also a large outdoor fenced sales area. So again, similar to the FedEx almost, where the building is kind of small and it's not really covering most of the lot. Of course, there's a lot of outdoor sales and outdoor storage that like a Tractor Supply needs, right? Whether it's plants, whether it's machinery, whatever it is. And this large lot allows for that. Also allows for new construction if needed, if they ever need to expand, and a ton of parking available for all the pickup trucks like you can imagine come through to a Tractor Supply. There's a lot of space there, and they continue to expand this outdoor sales area just to give a better sense of what they're selling, and it's a nice concept to walk into.
Yeah, I was going to say, It seems like with the expansion and having outdoor space, this is also widening the different demographics that would visit the Tractor Supply. It's not just tractors. It's so much more than that. And it's, allowing for lots of different types of people in the areas to visit and come by. So that's awesome.
Yeah, whether for just a consumer themselves or also, if you own a home, you need landscaping to get done. Who comes and does your landscaping, whether it's you or someone else, they need a store to go buy those materials, right? And that's where Tractor Supply can fit in to any area, really, with any demographic, because there's a need for that. This location, it was built in 2023, like I said, built to suit for Tractor Supply. Lease runs through June 2039. So we've got 14 years remaining on this term. There's 5% increases every 5 years, and there's 4 5-year options at the end of that term available, each with another 5% increase. So again, as this rent increases and we look for cap rate compression in the future, only increases the value of these assets, having those rent bumps and this long term. And really having both these together is something interesting, because we're able to extend a lease on the FedEx while subsequently having a long term remaining on the Tractor Supply at the same time. Puts us in a really good spot with both these properties. Again, they're fully debt free. We're not pigeonholed to any kind of lending, or we're not forced to sell at all. We're really free to look at the market and see when the opportunity arises to sell these properties. Tractor Supply in 2024 did almost $15 billion in net sales. It was an increase from the year prior. They've got over 2,200 stores right now. It's actually more stores than Target has.
That is crazy to hear.
Yeah, they opened 80 in 2024. They're looking to do another 100 in 2025. And they had a goal of reaching 3,000 stores. They've increased that to 3,200 stores. To give a better picture, Walmart is about 3,250 locations or so. So it's interesting that Tractor Supply has almost as many locations.
I think of Target as everything, again, kind of that one-stop shop, which is when you were talking about Tractor Supply, that's exactly what popped in my head. This is that one-stop shop sort of location, that retailer that you can grab everything that you need, not just, again, tractors and tools and things like that, but you can for any part of the household. So many more things. But that's really surprising to hear, actually.
Yeah, and we, with the expansion, maybe some people have concerns about companies that expand a lot. We continue to look at their financials quarterly, as well as prior to any new acquisition that we make. We really drill into each location on a granular level. There are a lot that hit the market. We're not buying all of them, whether we have the capital or not. We're going after the ones that we find are the most attractive to us, are in the right areas, and also the ones that we get the most attractive pricing on. We're able to acquire these at cap rates that are above what we've been seeing over the last few years. I will say there's a huge gap between where we were acquiring these a couple of years ago versus now. Finding a good opportunity right now in somewhat of a down market compared to where we were in 2022, for example, a very strong market. So if cap rates get anywhere close to where they were in 21 and 22, we're in a really good position with these properties. And like I said, we look at them on a store-by-store basis. Great tools such as Placer AI shows us sales and foot traffic of each location. Something that we look at as well, just to make sure we have the right purchase to provide the right portfolio.
Thanks, Sam, so much for that very informative information regarding the Essential Net Lease Portfolio 90 DST. With this recent acquisition, this takes Cove Capital to about $1 billion in assets under management, debt-free, quality real estate. So we're appreciative to have you here today and discuss that with us. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. And like you said, about $1 billion of assets under management. Our debt-free strategy really helps us be flexible on both the acquisition and the disposition, as well as the management of these properties. Sets us apart from other sponsors. You'll see a lot of other sponsors out there, especially with debt, adjustable rate mortgages and things may have seen in the news. I don't know. Different sponsors having to drop cash flow or sweep cash flow as their loans come due or their rates adjust. We're not held to anything. We own these free and clear. We're able to do what we want with them. We're able to make the right decisions at the right time, and ultimately that pays dividends to our investors.
Well, thank you again so much for the information. To our investors, we are appreciative to have you here today. And if you have any questions regarding the new offering that we have available, please feel free to reach out to us. We are here to assist you with your needs. If you're looking to complete a 1031 exchange or a direct cash investment opportunity, please reach out to us. We have compelling solutions for you, and we'd love to provide you with more information by connecting you with one of our team members. Thanks again. Thanks so much, Sam. We look forward to speaking with everyone soon.